Hello, you're watching Campus France Live. Thanks a lot to be there with us. And we're going to talk about higher education in France and to discover a new higher education school, EICAR, the International Film and Television School in Paris. If you want to work in the cultural industry, in the movie, theater, or maybe in the music field, you are at the right place. We're going to discover EICAR, the different jobs that you can be prepared to and the different way of learning at EICAR. And to talk about the school, I'm very pleased to welcome John McNulty. Hello.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Thanks a lot to be there with us. You're head of international admissions. We're also with Alessandra Domingo. Hello.
Hello, everyone. I'm working in the international department.
Thanks a lot to be there with us, and you're going to answer all the questions that you might have and that you can ask on the different chat section. And we're also with Esa Zag. Hello.
Hi.
Thanks a lot to be there with us. You're a student in the third year. First of all, John, can you introduce yourself in a few words and tell us about your role at EICAR?
Sure. My name's John McNulty. I am head of recruitment and admissions for the international department. I head up also a little bit of the pedagogy in first year. I'm an instructor as well, so I have a view on both the pedagogical aspects and the admissions of the school. And I have kind of oversee people coming from all over the world every year. So it's my pleasure to talk about that.
Thanks a lot, Alessandra. Same question for you. Can you introduce yourself in a few words and tell us what you do at EICAR?
Yes, of course. I'm working in the international department with John. And what I basically do, I'm helping the student during the orientation day. So once they arrive in France, that they might need references inside our school. And so this is what I'm doing, and I'm also helping them regarding the admission and in order to understand and make all the international students feeling home once they're here in France.
And you, Esa, you're a student in the third year at EICAR, coming from India?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're going to tell us in a few seconds why you decided to choose to study in France and why you decided to choose to study at EICAR. But before that, let's watch a little video to know more and to discover more about EICAR. We will be back just after that. John, we were able to see different programs illustrated in this little video clip. Can you talk maybe more about EICAR? What is the school, the story, and what we can do at EICAR?
Absolutely. So EICAR is a private film school in France. It was founded over 50 years ago. In fact, this is our 50th anniversary coming up this year. It started as an acting school and then progressed into a film school in the 1970s and 80s, and eventually integrated the international programs that we're talking about today in 2004. So essentially, we are a training school offering audiovisual training to future cinematographers, directors, production managers, editors, people working in post-production. Essentially, you should really think of us as a practical film school that trains in all these areas. Now, we have both Francophone programs and Anglophone programs. In the Francophone side, there are a lot of the aspects that you saw in that video, perhaps covered in different ways. We have the sound programs, we have individual BTS programs and things like that that are also on offer. But in the international, our main programs are the Master of Fine Arts, Bachelor of Fine Arts, and one-year program. We're also going to be talking about 2 new programs, but essentially those are our mainstays. And what our belief is in those programs is to offer an overall training in all of the different aspects of filmmaking. So even if you want to be a director or a cinematographer or production manager, it helps to be able to not only be polyvalent in another aspect of film, but also to study it to a fairly advanced level in all the years and then specialize at the end with a project. So we believe it's sort of a more filmmaking side to approach to the teaching that culminates in a specialization rather than just be specialized at the get-go. So we're happy to offer all of these different programs. Also, in the acting side, we do have a 3-year acting program on the Francophone side, where you saw a lot of the people training there and choreography. So there's a wide range of programs, and in the international, there's 2 more that we're going to be talking about today.
You have 2 new and recent programs. Can you tell us more about them?
Yes, we are launching it this year. We have what's called the 1-year advanced cinematography program. What we've noticed over the years is that a lot of people have been interested in training as camera people and lighting people, and have perhaps a year of study in a similar practical film school or an extensive amount of training. And what we're interested in doing is giving an advanced year. So we give people a test for this program and give them kind of a few other courses, but to really specialize in cinematography for that year and allow them to culminate in DPing or working on the lights for several projects to give themselves a little bit of an edge as director of photography. And then we also are introducing a 1-year acting program, because one thing we've also fielded is a lot of questions from people really interested in studying in Paris but not knowing enough French to integrate into our acting program. So they've been really interested in this idea of a 1-year cinema-focused program that allows them experience on camera and that practices techniques they'll need to know for the film and television industry as actors in English. So it's a 1-year English-speaking program that we're introducing as well.
And for the other programs in English, how long do they last?
So the Bachelor of Fine Arts that Esa is in is 3 years. And that program culminates in the 3rd year of doing a specialization. The first year is about fundamentals. The second year builds on all the fundamentals in lighting, camera, post-production, all of the elements you need as a filmmaker, and then culminates in a speciality. It's the same thing kind of in the master's program, only a little bit more accelerated. In the master's program, we're welcoming students from all over the world who have a prior degree in a subject and spend really the first 6 months of the program in the fundamentals, and then advance a little quicker in all of the areas, and then also culminate in the second year in a specialization. So we have that, and then we have a 1-year basics program for people who maybe are not sure about film as a career, want to spend a gap year with us, are looking for a 1-year certificate program, and those people, if they pass all their classes, they can continue studying in the bachelor's with us as well.
Esa, you were a student in India. Why did you decide to come to France and to study in the film industry here in France?
Well, so I knew that I wanted to come over to Europe because just it was sort of something that came to me. I spoke with my parents, and they were like, "Yeah, you should go to Europe." And it was a toss-up between a lot of places in Europe. You have Spain, France, Germany, all of these places. Ultimately, it came down to the fact that I knew a bit of French prior, and just opportunities. It seemed like a cool place to be, so that's what it came down to.
And can you describe a little bit what you studied in the bachelor that you're following? What are the different classes that you had?
So we have a lot of classes about different things. We have classes for like production, directing, sound. We have a class dedicated to film history, which I think is pretty cool. What else do we have?
Yeah, cinematography.
Cinematography.
To have more maybe culture about the movie industry, to know more about what have been done in the past.
Yeah, even though we believe that 80% of our classes should be practical, we still integrate every year a film history class because not only I think is it good for the film culture and also to awaken students' curiosity a little bit. You're in France, so one thing that's great about France is that the number of cinemas that are still actively involved in showing films, the museums and the cultural emphasis in this country is really unique. So we have a class in third year that Virginia offers, Virginia Field, called Curiosity in the Cinema. I don't know if you've taken that yet. That's probably coming up. But that's where you also explore some cultural aspects. So it's not enough to have the technical training. We believe in also inspiring them and to offer a little bit of that film history as well. And even in the film history, I think you're focused on how that can integrate into your own work. Like when you look at a dolly shot, like from Citizen Kane or something, it's explained, I think, in technical terms that could help you, like in your own work, like to influence. Yeah.
And you just said that it was 80% of practical courses. What kind of practical courses, and what do you offer to the student to help them to practice?
From the very beginning, we have, for instance, cinematography and directing. And certain other classes are held. We have 8 sound stages below, or small studio spaces and large studio spaces. And those classes are on your feet, working in crews, and they usually are 3 to 4 hours because it takes time to check out the equipment and check it back in. One thing that we've always believed in is investing in equipment and giving the students access to the equipment in the fundamentals year. So you're not going to get very fancy state-of-the-art stuff right away, but you are going to be trained in the basics and given the stuff to train on early on, in fact, right away. You can do what's called personal projects, but they're kind of controlled by the teacher. You can sort of have the equipment as long as you've been trained on it and that you involve your classmates in such projects. So the student has to also be organized when they organize a personal project to use equipment. But yeah, it's very practically based. The editing rooms are in the editing facilities. The cinematography classes are in the sound stages. And when we have a long period in the summer where we just do nothing but shoot films that have been prepared, and everybody works on each other's films for that experience.
Esa, maybe can you tell us a few words about a project that you had the opportunity to achieve during your bachelor?
So last year I actually made my own film. So we had to, during the screenwriting classes, we would write our own scripts, and then we had to basically present them to like April or?
That's right. Well, actually, the due date was January, I think, or February, and then we let you know in April what your dates were, I think.
Yeah. So we had to before we even got a thing of your dates, we had to present if we had anything prepared, what our kind of intentions were, how many locations, practical things like that for how we were gonna shoot it. Of course, a lot of it went wrong, but. Then we got a response about whether we'd be allowed to shoot it or not, based on, because we'd have to go with the rest of the school as well, who also wanted to make their own films. And then we got the chance to direct it, and we'd have to find our own locations, get our own crew, and rent out the equipment from the school and shoot it. So, yeah.
And what was your film about?
It was a cooking film.
Okay.
Yeah.
So about cooking for a diner or something like that?
I think more to the point, it was a relationship film where people were cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the idea is also to discover, each student is here to discover his personal universe, to find out how creative it is, because that's sometimes a question. That's some studies which required a lot of creativity, and sometimes the students are like, am I creative? I'm not sure. Do I have my own universe? Is it something you're looking for, or is it something that you have students to discover during their studies?
This is a really interesting question. It's probably the most interesting question about film school, is the sense that does someone arrive with a signature of what they want to express, or are you going to work on that during the course of the studies? Our primary goal is to give them training and to give them inspiration and to be able to guide them. But ultimately, they're making films about the things that they want to make films about. And usually people need a little bit of time in film school to make mistakes, to figure out what kind of things they want to express. Sometimes they arrive with, agendas and messages of what they want to be about as filmmakers, and sometimes they discover it during the course of the 3 years. I think that in many cases, they use film school as a chance to sort of figure that out, and hopefully by second or third year to start to go, okay, my kind of film is going to be kind of like this. This is what I can do the best in terms of my skills and what I want to write movies about. Yeah.
And you, Esa, what is your signature? How are you creative?
That's a very I don't know, because I definitely came to the school like I had my kind of idea of what film school would be and what the film industry is, and to say that that is still how I think it is not correct at all.
What did you think a film school would be like?
Oh, that well, I just kind of figured it would be this intimidating place where it's like, if you don't have ideas, you need to have your ideas, you need to know things, you need to
There's a lot of competition between the different people, not working together, wanting to be the best. And in reality, how is it like at EICAR?
It's a lot more collaborative, and I think it's very okay to have a base level of completely nothing. And it's a lot of learn by doing and learn by fixing, because I know even I would say when I made my film, I would say I learned a lot of things by doing things that I hope I never do again. And I think that's probably the most important thing you learn here.
I think there's two aspects to it. Is that one, people are trying to figure out what they could make a career out of. Do I want to be an editor? Do I want to be a producer, production manager? Do I want to work in distribution? Do I want to work as director? And then the other thing that they're trying to figure out at the same time is, if I want to be a writer-director or a director, what am I going to say? How am I going to say things, and what are the subjects that I'm interested in? And both of those things can take a while to figure out. I think he's right in saying the key words is mistakes. Is that the great thing about film school is you can make mistakes without too many consequences. I mean, sometimes people are mad if you underexpose their films, or you make some kind of wild experiment that doesn't work out for the actors or something like that. But for the most part, this is a consequence-free environment, whereas in the industry, they're relatively unforgivable. If you make a mistake, you have to be trained, you have to know what you want to make movies about, and arrive kind of fully formed in some respects in the industry. Yeah.
We are now going to talk about the admission process and the different steps to apply. First of all, John, what background do you require to apply to EICAR?
Well, in the BFA, we're looking for people usually that are applying right out of high school. So oftentimes they don't have their final transcript yet. They are in their senior year of secondary school. So frequently their experience is kind of light in terms of what they've already done. Sometimes they've been active on Instagram, or they've done YouTube, TikTok, and YouTube. We're dealing with a generation now that are very much, I would say 60% also have some degree of editing skills now, whereas that wasn't the case 10 years ago. But really, we're looking for people that are motivated, that are independent-minded, that are project-based in the sense that we feel like they're going to be motivated enough to have something to say, or they want to do this as a career. Maybe not at 18. You don't absolutely are not sure, but at least you're motivated enough to be able to be a self-starter and to give that sense in the letter of motivation that this is something you really want to do. In the masters, we're looking for people who obviously have a degree, can be in any subject, but also that are equally motivated and tend to be a little bit more mature in the sense that they know that this is something they want to do because they're at an age where they have to decide that a little more urgently, and also they have frequently an idea of what they want to achieve in the film industry, like what is their 5-year goal, where do they want to be, do they want to be cinematographers, do they want to be editors, etc.
What was your profile, Esa? Did you already have some experience in editing, in filming, or were you really new in all this field?
I was pretty new. I just had a couple things here and there that I knew and that I'd had the opportunity to see. But other than that, I was very new, and yeah, it wasn't as intimidating as I thought it would be to apply. And it was during the peak of the pandemic situation and whatever, but we had to have an interview online or whatever, and I remember preparing for that, getting really prepared for that, whatever. And actually when we had that meeting, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, that often is a Wi-Fi question, yeah.
And
we
so
do Zooms as well.
I was panicking, so it was but it was very calm, and we just had the conversation. It was very chill.
There was a lot of repeating.
Yeah. With the problem of Wi-Fi, but when there isn't problem of Wi-Fi, how do the different interviews look like? What are you asking to the student? What are you looking in the different profiles?
Well, the best interviews is when I sense that someone wants to have a conversation about things that they're excited about, and that obviously makes the interview smooth, and 20 minutes go by in a second. What I'm asking for is essentially, first of all, I want to know what's bringing them to be able to now at this juncture choose on a film school. Their level of motivation, obviously I can measure by, they do write an essay before or a motivation letter of 3 pages that gives me some insights into their background and why they're, what they want to achieve. But I think a key question that I asked during the interview is to try and measure creativity. Is I've been asking this question for the last 2 years during the pandemic, is that I asked them to describe a photo that they would take that kind of tells the story of the last 12 months of their life in a composition. So on the spot, they're sort of saying, oh, I would put a tree in the left-hand side of the frame, and I would be on the right, and there would be foreground. And right away, they're trying to describe a shot, elements of a shot to try and tell the story. And that can sometimes be indicative of a really good sense of improvisation, a really good sense of creativity, but it's not the only question I ask. And I certainly understand if someone would be also put on the spot by a question like this, but sometimes I get remarkable answers, just for being able to stoke that question and stoke that creativity in the moment. I'm looking for motivation, looking for creativity, looking for a sense of them understanding what it entails in terms of the commitment that's involved in the film industry. And just looking for a point of view, like what are they interested in? Did they take photos of things? Did they write a recent piece of fiction that concentrates on an area? What do they want to make films about? And if they want to be director of photography, what inspires them as photographers? I ask a few influences, what are your influences? What inspired you?
And if you're not that creative, you can come and say, I don't want to have a creative job in the film industry. I want to have more practical, maybe in the production. And it's an answer that you can totally hear, and you can help the student to develop more practical skills.
Sure. In fact, I would say that all of the jobs, except I guess for writing and directing, have a creative component, but they also have a really practical, sort of no-nonsense organizational or technical skills as well, quotient. And obviously those people we need in the film industry as well. But even to a certain extent, production management and producing is creative in the sense that a producer sort of casts, they have ideas about what a story is and everything else. So yes, we do teach those skills, and I'm looking for people that want to acquire those skills. There's also a certain degree of creativity in everything, really, in the film industry. I think apart from something like even a line producer that's so-called about organization and all that stuff requires an understanding of a story and all that kind of stuff. So yes, the answer is I'm looking for that sense of teaching them the technical, and they don't have to be that creative, but they still have to have a sense of why they want to do this. Yeah.
Esa, what would be your advice for the people watching us today and wanting to apply to EICAR? What would you advise them to do?
I would say don't worry about anything, because like I remember how I found the school was just talking to a friend in like one of my classes, whatever, and I found the website and I was like, this is a really good website, I'm just gonna apply. And it's like it just kind of figured itself out from there. And there's high points and low points, and it's hard, it's not easy, so you do have to a sense enjoy the like pain of it, is what I'd say. Is like no matter what you're doing, that thing is gonna be hard, but it's like you should enjoy that, because there's a certain level of enjoyment that comes from it. So yeah.
Alessandra once admitted at EICAR there is other steps in order to go to Paris, some administrative steps with all the visa procedure. Then you have to find an accommodation, then you have to ask for la CAF and stuff like that.
Exactly.
How do you help students to acclimate to the fact of studying in Paris?
Yes, okay. So all the students are coming from EICAR, all international students, they are sharing the same passion to study in a film school. And we completely understand they're coming from different culture and in different countries, so it's not that easy. And what we would like to do is to make them feel home. And this is what I do. So I'm meeting all the students from the very first day, and we have an orientation week, and we are going to help them not just regarding like the bureaucratic things, so like the Esa Zag, the social security number that they need, or how to open a bank account, how to get a French telephone number, and but also regarding how to be integrated into, with the Francophone students, how to what they can do, and also thanks to some French lectures that make them help also to talk, to get new French, and yes, so this. Okay.
And can you describe maybe a little bit the campus of EICAR? It's a really huge campus with a lot of material, with a lot of different rooms, which are looking like what you can have in the real world.
Yes, it's a huge building. It's super new, and the fact is, all the students have the possibility to have access to all the equipment. So just need to attend the class. They don't need to think about regarding like some cameras, or if they need something, if they need to shoot anything. So all the equipment that we have are free, that you can use it, and also the fact that. And they have cabin-proof sounds. They have like a cinema. They have like a huge part of the school, which is in which they can study. They work on their projects. So yeah, this is really amazing. And just in front, we have also U-First, which is like an accommodation for the students, and they're saving like some studios for all the international students that wants to come to EICAR.
Esa, the campus is really welcoming. You want to stay, I imagine, during the day because you have so many space to explore your creativity. What do you do? Can you describe maybe a typical day that you have at EICAR, at what time you arrive, and how is the mix between the classes and the practical moments distributed?
So in the first year, we had a lot of morning classes, so we'd typically be in school from like around 8 to lunchtime, so around 1:30, 1 o'clock. But now that it's more around 1 to like 7, so you're at school for a while, and so you have usually your first class, which is around 3 hours, and then you have a small gap in between that and your next class. So usually we have a couple spaces where we can just sort of spend time to, like, there's this space on the 7th floor, which is just a big open space with a lot of seating and whatever, and you have a cafeteria just below that where you can get some drinks and some small food too, sort of just if you're hungry.
John, maybe the idea is to make them feel professional from the first day at EICAR.
Yeah, I think from everything from the fact that all of our faculty are working in the industry and reflective of the changes going on, to the fact that we very much from day one are instilling the fact that it's a team process. A lot of students are tempted to stay in their heads and just think that movies are made singularly by one person, and one of our first challenges is to dispel that notion. We also insist on everything that a production manager does to organize a shoot. We are doing the same thing. Like, so permits, it becomes part of the final exam, if you will. Like, so if you're preparing your film and you expect to just go out like the day after and shoot it, it's not going to happen. We want to make sure you permitted it, that you understand about release forms, that you have your third-person liability insurance, that you understand that the equipment works properly and that it will function during the shoot, that you understand that batteries need to be charged and locations need to be organized and all that kind of stuff. So we're really, really aware of the fact that not only we're trying to inspire these guys, but we're also trying to outfit them for the challenges of the industry, and that means being current with technology, but also being like making sure that it's not easy to get their movies made. That we give them advice on the screenplay stage. We make sure that it's in its best possible form, and that we alert them to the dangers in a script. Like if you have animals or you're shooting at night or something, we immediately say these are the challenges and everything else. So you shouldn't really do that. So we're very much aware that we need to be in line with what the industry demands. Same thing with software. Is that software changes all the time. When I started, it was on film, and now we're at the stage where people are using DaVinci color correction for editing as well as color correction at the same time. So we're kind of going at the speed of what the industry demands, and we've always been that.
Alessandra, can you tell us a few words about the different events that you organize on campus? There is a real campus life. How does it look like?
Yes, okay. So from the first week, what I'm doing, I'm inviting all the students or international students to log in to a platform which is called Buddy System, and they can match with the local students. So each international student is matching with one local students, and the local student is going to help them for bureaucratic things in case they would like to practice the language, or in case they would like to visit Paris, or there are some activities related to cinema they would like to share with. And then what we're doing, what I'm planning is also having some events in our huge building in the open space that as I talked about, and what I would like to do is also sharing like their experience. So probably some of the students, international students that comes to have some a background like in filmmaking, and they can show also to the other students, and all this mixing is gonna give also an overview of what the field is actually, and also once that they're creating their own film, they can share with different culture, and this is amazing. Just amazing.
And do you encourage them to visit a little bit France? Because I think there is some inspirational places out of Paris. Is it something that you
can answer that? Every student has a Cinematheque, French Cinematheque membership. It's a feature that we've included for the last 10 years, is that everyone gets to use the library there and go to some of the retrospectives, and they have a card. And that's the preeminent place in France for watching films, and has a long history with Truffaut and everybody going to the Cinematheque in the 1960s. So that's our primary thing. But we also, in this class that Virginia Field offers, they go to museums as part of the class. They go to installations, expositions to try and inspire them. And we also encourage the students to be able to explore France a little bit in their time off. Now, granted, they don't always have the time off, or because it's a fairly intensive program with about 25 hours a week of classes. But they do go on vacations. They explore other areas of France and incorporate that into what they're doing. Yeah.
Did you have this opportunity, Esa, to travel a bit around France?
Around France and around Europe as well. Yeah, that was a big part of why I chose to come to France and Europe.
Where did you go, for instance?
visited Germany for sure, and I visited Portugal and places like that. So yeah, we do have time for that.
And it's interesting maybe to help to boost your creativity, because when you change the country you are in, you're discovering new things, new way of architecture and stuff like that. It can be really inspirational.
Yeah.
We're now going to talk about the professional world and the way it's included in the program. John, is it possible to do internships during the program?
It is. We do have an internship department in the school, and it's available to our international students. There is a challenge, though, and the primary challenge is the fact that we instruct the students in French. All the classes are in English in our international department, but we have French classes to try and help them acclimate. Now, most of our internship opportunities is the reason they usually do it in their final year is because it takes them time to learn enough French to be able to be an asset to companies that are looking for people in Paris. So we usually encourage people to do the internship, in the later period where they're able to offer something to the company and they can be relatively bilingual. So there's the chance for networking in the internships. There's also a lot of our teachers, instructors are working in the industry, as well as our graduation ceremony where we invite people from the industry to be able to judge our films. We also have contacts at the Cannes Film Festival every year where we do send a small student delegation to be able to shoot films. But again, for the international students, it's really contingent on you taking French seriously and really learning enough French so you can put your CV in French to be able to deliver to the internship department. So the answer is yes, but it's also contingent on the international students to really be motivated to learn French.
Yeah. Lisa, did you have the opportunity to do some internships?
I haven't yet, but I do plan to.
And do you already know in what kind of industry you want to do it, in what kind of company?
In what sort of company?
Yeah, is it more like in production, in television, for movies? Do you already know?
Ideally, I'd like to work in movies.
Okay.
Would be ideal. But, I'm open to experience anything, so wherever and whatever it is.
And I imagine, John, that you have like a network of companies that you really know that are used to taking some interns from EICAR.
Yeah, primarily it's in television in Paris. There's a strong animation element in Paris production that we have relationships with, but we also have several people doing television internships. I would say that obviously the areas of post-production, sound, production and distribution are the main areas that we have connections with. It's harder to get, if you're a writer-director, obviously it's harder to shadow productions and to be kind of over somebody's shoulder. But in the areas of post-production, sound, production management, and working at TV channels like TF1, France 2, we have had students do internships at these channels. Yeah.
And what are the different job opportunities for students after graduating?
In film and television, obviously, you have the base of being able to be a polyvalent filmmaker. So if I hire someone like Esa out of film school at EICAR, I know that he's going to be proficient in editing, he's going to be proficient in his production skills, he's been on sets before, he knows how to behave. So it really depends on what you want to focus in terms of building a career. It's why in the third year we encourage people to specialize, because by that time you should know whether you want to be really to focus all your efforts on being a production manager or an editor or a director. And there are different paths with different, obviously, starting elements of salary and opportunities. So it really depends on a case-by-case as what the student has decided on by third year as to what is advisable in internships and in the advice. So, like, for instance, if Esa wanted to be a cinematographer, I would give him a lot of a different advice that I would someone who wanted to be a writer-director or a director, for instance. So it depends on the thing, on the aspect. But we've had graduates go into all fields. We're happy that almost 79% of our students stay after 5 years in the film and television industry. They're not always, marquee directors who that are selling films based on their name, but they're working in the industry. Some of them as directors, but quite often people that have their own small commercial production companies or are working as cameramen or editors in post-production. A lot in animation in Paris because those are where the jobs are, actually.
You said that you already know what you want to do after graduating, or is it far away from you?
That's a hard question. I have certain thoughts about what I want to do and maybe where I'd like to work. But other than that, it is a little further away to me, but I
should also say you are in second year, not third year. That was my mistake. Yeah. So he's in the middle of the beginning of the middle of the process. Yeah.
And I will say my idea of what I wanted to do has changed a lot and it will change a lot from when I first got in, because at first I was like, yeah, cinematography sounds fun, and it's like I don't want to be the guy who's just a director because it's a bit cliche. But I was like, I got here and started doing some work and it's like, no, I want to direct. Mm-hmm. So you get the time to properly decide, no, this is what I want to do because I have time to try.
And I think you have a better idea of what a director needs to do as a career, how to build that, and the fact that you need to rely on your other skills while you're trying to get your first directing job. So while you're trying to set up something as a director, you might want to rely on editing or post-production or some other area where you can stay in the business but build a career as a director. Because frequently people don't get directing jobs right away. They get directing jobs in documentary, first of all, or television. And even if you want to be a director or a writer, it's going to take you some time to get that first entrance and that first gig. So while you're doing it, I know for myself, I went to film school. I was working in a little bit in lighting, a little bit in production management to be able to get myself out there while I was trying to build a career in that.
What would be your last advice, John, for the students watching us today and wanting to come and to study at EICAR? What would you advise them?
Well, I think, obviously, the first question is whether film schools are for everyone. There is a little bit of debate about that, but I think that what we offer and what I think the top film schools offer, what makes EICAR special is essentially we're aware of what the international industry is. We're aware of what the standards are for being able to be employable. And what we want to do is mix that with a really good cross-cultural mix of people with different backgrounds, that allow you different networking opportunities and different ways of making movies that provide you also with a really strong French cultural background while you study here, but also that you get a little bit of a sense of how things are done internationally, both from a finance point of view and from a writer, director point of view. So I think we have a good blend of two worlds. We have a really good French basis, and then on top of that, we have a very strong international cultural element as well as pedagogical element that's giving you the best of both worlds, essentially. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, John, Esa, and Alessandra, for having been with us today and having shared your experience about the school. Thanks to you for having watched us. If you still have questions about EICAR, you can visit the website of the school. Is it possible to begin the application process?
Yes, of course. They can start from now, and we are already revising. You can send your application by downloading it on our website, or you can just send us an email on inquiries at eicar.com.
So if you're interested, it's possible to begin to apply to EICAR. Thanks to you for having watched us, and see you soon on Campus France Live.